world's largest port, Singapore has always been a centre for trade and commerce. Money is a driving force for the many communities that call this place home. The Marina Bay circuit is certainly very spectacular, but money is a key reason that Formula One is in Singapore too.
In terms of securities trading, for example, we range between $1.5 billion to $2 billion per day. Singapore is a global financial center and the wealth hub of Asia. At the top end, you're talking about China, having about 7%, 8% growth. The other countries, Southeast Asia, for example, ranges from like 2-3% to 5%. 10 years ago, we are about 21%, of the world GDP. Today is about 26, 27. And the forecast is that by the end of the decade, you'll reach about 32.
By racing in a trade centre like Singapore, Formula One is better placed to attract Asian investment. But that's not the end of the benefits, according to some.
Formula One has, 550 million viewers annually. And these countries, the likes of Singapore and obviously South Korea, Malaysia, etc., they're now, by having Formula One races, they're on the global map. And so it helps them draw in tourists.
According to Sylt, Asian circuits account for 60% of the hosting revenues made by F1 annually, and he suggests Singapore alone pays around $40 million for their Grand Prix. But is this money well spent?
F1 has brought a certain level of value for us. In direct terms, in terms of tourism spending, it's averaged about $140 million a year. In terms of, this is induced tourism spending. In terms of visitor arrivals, we know that we get about 35 to 40,000 foreign visitors just for the F1 race over that weekend. It gave us an opportunity to present to the world that Singapore is a city where you can have an exciting lifestyle whilst you come here to work or to do business.
An opinion owners of F1 certainly seem to agree with when they announced plans to float their business valued at just under $10 billion on the Singapore Stock Exchange back in May. But the float stalled.
I think it would have been a bad decision to float, largely because of the state of the economy. That is nothing internal to Formula One. You look at what's happened in terms of the valuation of Facebook, look at the valuation of Manchester United. Not as high as people wanted and expected. If the markets pick up well, and if there's a real strong bounce, I'd say it's very likely that it will float.
The market condition during the first half of this year was not so good. When things start picking up, especially in Southeast Asia, I'm hopeful that, things will happen not only for them, but other companies that are actually looking to a window to actually come to the market as well, where they can find the kind of investors that understand them. And this is a place for them to actually catapult into the rest of the region. And Asia is a region of growth.
The float may well go ahead, even leading, as some have speculated, to an Asian buyout. But the future of the Singapore race, for all of its supporters, remains in doubt. A multi-million-dollar contract extension beyond 2012 between F1 and the Singapore government has yet to be signed, though Ishwaran remains cautiously optimistic.
I'm hopeful that we can find an area of mutual benefit to go forward together. You cannot just look at it on the cost side, you also have to look at it on the benefit side and then come to a conclusion on it. So certainly terms with the Formula One management will be one aspect of it, but it's by no means the only aspect in coming to a decision.
Whether F1 returns next year remains to be seen, but it's fair to say the focus of Formula One will stay in Asia for some time to come.